A bit about sheetrock installation. I'm still working on the same room. This is the closet. As you can see, we've already got the ceiling in, and now we're working on getting the walls in. One thing I want to talk about is what we previously covered, was whether to go horizontal joint or vertical joint. In this case, I went with horizontal. Yeah, it's going to give me another joint to have to mud, whereas if I had gone and vertically installed this panel, and I could have cut one piece out of one sheet of sheetrock, because it's 7 feet top to bottom and 44 inches across. Let me get this in frame. And like we talked about before, your stock sheetrock panel is 4 feet by 8 feet. So I would have had enough rock to cut this whole panel out of just one sheet of sheetrock. However, one of the things you got to consider is maneuverability. Going into this closet here with this closet door, there's no way I would have been able to fit one panel of 7 feet by 44 feet through this door and be able to maneuver it in this small tight spot, in this small tight place. So I went with the horizontal joint, and if you recall from the other video, there's a pipe running in here. I had to cut that out just so I could get that sheetrock placed in the back there. But with a horizontal joint like this, allows me to talk about something else. When I'm laying sheetrock, whether in vertical or a horizontal, I like to use these sheetrock nails as spacers. And what that does is that opens that joint up, and when I tape this, I'll be able to push some of that mud through the mesh of that fiber tape and get it a root, basically, to help hold that tape in place, and once it dries, it'll make for a stronger joint. So I always gap my my sheetrock joints, and even on if it was a vertical, I would still gap my joints between the standing sheetrock with the sheetrock nails for the same reason. And you can use, like I said, I'm using the sheetrock nail, and you can use a screw to do that. If you're using sheetrock screws, you can use a screw to give you that gap in there. But I like the nails because you can just pull them out by hand, whereas the threads on the screws might start catching and you have to get your screw gun to unscrew it. Another thing I want to talk about is that, you know, like I mentioned in previous videos, this is not finished cabinetry whatsoever. So when I cut the sheetrock, I rough cut it. I give myself a little extra when I'm cutting material off for fudge factor, and that's one of the reasons that you use joint tape or drywall tape, whether paper or fiber. And what that's going to do is, once I tape this up, that's going to give me a backer, so I'm not trying to push mud back, you know, half-inch layer of mud all the way back into the all the way to the stud in there, and then build out from that. It'll take forever to dry, and also it's going to crack if you don't get a solid fill of mud all the way back in there. You might have an air pocket, and you could be on your final finish sanding, and all of a sudden, bang, it just busts through. So that fiber tape gives it a backing for that mud to lay in. Yeah, a little bit's going to push back in there, like we talked about on the horizontal joint, but that's why they make drywall tape for that there. The other thing I want to talk about is, in previous videos, talked about how drywall is formed. Of course, I'm exaggerating here. The factory, when they make the drywall on the 4-foot wide edges or the 8-foot long edges, it's got a profile like that, and you can kind of see it there. Here's the start of the profile, and it tapers down, and the same with this one. And you know, that allows you to put your tape in there, and then, you know, if you're really good, you can get away with just one layer of mud with a 6-inch knife, and because it's like 2 3/4 to the edge here, and then from here to the other edge, that's 2 3/4. So a 6-inch knife, if you're good, you can just put one layer of mud on there, nice smooth coat, and you can hit it with a sander and you're done. But when I'm doing a horizontal installation, what I like to do with that factory edge, which has that profile right there, is the edge that's going towards the floor, I like to cut that off. So basically I'm cutting off 3 inches from here down to the factory edge. And the reason I do that is you got to think about your baseboard. You're going to install baseboards, or you should be thinking about it, and you don't want that taper on that edge, because if you do, then instead of your baseboards wanting to lay flat up against the wall, they're going to want to follow that taper, and you're going to wind up with a tapered baseboard. So you want to avoid that, and that's why I usually cut the factory edge off when I'm laying horizontal panels. Well, I guess that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching again. Any questions or comments, go ahead and comment me, and I'll get right back to you as soon as I can. All right, thank you.